Friends, welcome to our channel. I'm Ashish and this video I will teach you about the shoulder joint. I know you're all very excited seeing this two diagram to study about the shoulder joint. So let's, without investing any time, let's start with the video. So what is the shoulder joint? As you know, a joint is formed between two or more bones. So the two bones or the surfaces involved in the shoulder joint are the humerus and the scapula. If I say more precisely, the structure involved are the head of humerus and the glenoid cavity of scapula. See over here, this is the circumference of the head of humerus and this is the glenoid cavity of scapula. So these two structures are formed or involved in the shoulder joint. So it is a joint between the head of humerus and the glenoid cavity of scapula. You might be knowing that shoulder joint is the most mobile joint of our body. Okay, because it is a ball and socket type. We have, I think, many ball and socket joint present over here, and you might be knowing most of them. So in the case of ball and socket joint, the most mobile one that present in the body is the shoulder joint. But the thing it has to pay for great mobility is that it is very unstable. Why? Because the head of the humerus is very large and it has to fit on a very shallow cavity of the glenoid labrum or the glenoid labrum of the scapula. So this has to pay the great mobility in the form of the less stability of the joint. So these 2 points you should remember in the case of the shoulder joint. It is the most mobile but the most unstable joint as well. Because of its great instability, it is usually dislocated. So it's of great importance clinically. That's why it's one of the most important topics for the upper limb. So let's start with the different headings of the shoulder joint. First of all, we start with the articular surfaces. Then we'll discuss about the ligaments, then relations, then artery and the nerve supply, and at last the movements of the shoulder joint. So first of all, let's start with the articular surfaces. Shoulder joint is a ball and socket type of synovial joint. So before starting any joint or any discussion on joint, you should mention which type of joint it is. So it is ball and socket variety of synovial joint. Synovial joint has many varieties. One of them is ball and socket type. The more details on synovial joint, I'll be uploading video very soon. So stay tuned by click on the subscribe button below, and please do share my channel if you like the video. So next point to discuss about the articular surfaces. So there are two articular surfaces in case of shoulder joint. One is the large head of humerus and a very relatively shallow glenoid cavity. Discussing about the joint ligaments, we will see in the 3D and have orientation of the shoulder joint. Then we will proceed further with the subheading of the ligaments of the shoulder joint. If I remove the muscles of the pectoral region, that is the subscapularis in front and supraspinatus, infraspinatus and terispinal back, you can clearly see the shoulder joint with the two bones and the relating articular surfaces. That's the head of the humerus and the shallow glenoid cavity over there. So you can see the head of the humerus and the glenoid cavity. This is the view from the back, and you can also see the fibrocartilaginous ring of glenoid labrum around the glenoid cavity. I hope the 3D orientation helped you in understanding the shoulder joint and the structures involved in the joint as well as the structures around it. So let's discuss them that we have seen in 3D. So we had the glenoid cavity of the scapula. So this is scapula over here medially, and laterally we have the humerus. So this is the humerus, this is the neck, this is shaft, and the above expanded part is the head, which is directed backward, upward and medially, and these are the cartilages over them. Okay, here is the glenoid labrum. Glenoid labrum is nothing but just a fibrocartilaginous ring that is present around this cavity that helps in deepen it. So glenoid labrum is a fibrocartilaginous ring that is present around the glenoid cavity to strengthen it or make it more deepen. Suppose this is a glenoid cavity. In order to make it more deepen, I can add one more ring like this structure. So the depth of the cavity is now increased. So similarly is the function of the glenoid labrum. Here is the fibrous capsule, which is one of the ligaments of the shoulder joint that we will see in the next topic. So this is the, and which muscle is this? This is the supraspinatus muscle present in the supraspinatus fossa, and this is the deltoid muscle. Okay, so this is the deltoid muscle inserting into the deltoid tuberosity. This is the acromion process of the scapula, and this is the coracoid process. Okay, and here is the coracoacromial ligament stretching between the coracoid process and the acromion process. All these structures we might have studied in the osteology of the scapula. and this is the subacromial bursa. Why this bursa is very important, I will tell you in the later part of this video. I think you are now quite aware of the shoulder joint now, and this quite familiar with the diagram. So in the diagram you have to draw first about the shoulder joints structure, the bones involved, that is the humerus and the scapula. Then we should mention about the two processes, that is acromion process and the coracoid process with the coracoacromial ligament. Then we have to show about the two important muscles around the shoulder joint, that's the deltoid, which is a very important part of its relation, and the supraspinatus muscle. Now the parts of the ligament we are going to discuss now. So now let's have an orientation of the different ligaments. So in total in the shoulder joint we have 4 main ligaments. In addition to this we have 2 accessory ligaments. Okay, so in the shoulder joint we have 4 main ligaments and 2 accessory ligaments. So what are they? Let's see. We have first the ligament is the capsular ligament. Next one is the glenohumeral ligaments. Note I have written ligaments. It means in this category we have further subdivisions. Then we have the coracohumeral ligament, and then last we have the transverse humeral ligament. These are the 4 main ligaments. In the 2 accessory ligaments we have the coracoacromial ligament and the coracoacromial arch. Okay, coracoacromial arch. This coracoacromial ligament is a part of the coracoacromial arch. So first of all let us complete the accessory ligament, then we'll see about the main or the primary ligaments. So in this diagram you can see the ligament is present with the acromion process and the coracoid process. So the name is the coracoacromial. That means it stretches between the coracoid process and the acromion process. So this is the coracoacromial ligament, as I told you in the starting of the video when I explained about this diagram. So the arch is formed by the all these 3 structures, that is acromion process, coracoacromial ligament and the coracoid process are together called the coracoacromial arch. Okay, CAA. So these are the members of the CAA, coracoacromial ligament, coracoid process and acromion arch, that helps in the abduction of the hand. Okay, how it helps I will tell you when discussing about the movements of the upper limb. Okay, these were the accessory ligaments. Now let's see about the primary ligaments or the main ligaments of the shoulder joint. So in total we have 4 main ligaments. Now I have written only sufficient theory that you should know. For more details you can check out your book. Okay, the capsular ligament is also called the joint capsule. Every ball and socket joint have a joint capsule, whether it may be knee joint, the hip joint, the shoulder joint, or any other important joint. Okay, so capsular ligament is nothing but a thin fibrous layer. So here you can see all these ligaments will see in 3D as well. So don't get panic if you're not able to make a diagram in your mind. I will tell you how they are actually with the help of a 3D model. Okay, capsular ligament, this is nothing but a thin fibrous layer. It is attached medially to the margins of the glenoid cavity. Actually it extends beyond the glenoid labrum. You can see the attachments in the medial part is beyond the glenoid labrum, means it extends about to the which tubercle is there. We have the superior and the lesser tubercle. So the greater and the lesser tubercle. So it extends beyond the greater tubercle as well as the lesser tubercle. What does it mean? To greater tubercle there is attachment of muscles. Okay, which muscle is that? Please make sure you mention it in the comment box below. I will tell you the answer there. Okay, so here is the muscle attachment of muscle. So the muscle will be enclosed in the joint capsule because of the attachment medially extends beyond the glenoid greater tubercle of the scapula. Okay, so it is attached medially to the margins of glenoid cavity, but it extends beyond the glenoid labrum, enclosing the muscle, and laterally it is attached to the anatomical neck. You can see over here it is attached to the anatomical neck, but not inferiorly. Inferiorly it extends below to the surgical neck. So what happens in the surgical neck? We have the passage of one nerve, very important nerve called the axillary nerve. Okay, so near the movement or the passage of the axillary nerve we have the surgical neck. So in the laterally it is attached to the which neck? It is attached to the anatomical neck, but inferiorly it may extend to the surgical neck of the humerus. So this was all about the capsular ligament. Now we have the glenohumeral ligaments. Means what the name suggests, it is attached to the gland cavity as well as the humerus. So there are three thicknings in the anterior part of the fibrous capsule. As you can see, this is the fibrous capsule and it encloses three ligaments, that are the superior, middle and inferior glenohumeral ligament. There is one clinical relation related to the glenohumeral ligament. What is that? You can see over here, between the superior and the middle there is a large gap is present, through which the anterior dislocation of the head of the humerus is quite common. So this point also you should keep in your mind. Now next one is the coracohumeral ligament and the transverse humeral ligament. Okay, these diagrams are not drawn, but I will tell you in the 3D how they look as well as in the diagram. So coracohumeral ligament, as the name suggests, they extend from the coracoid process to the anterior aspect of the greater tubercle. In the osteology you might have seen there are two tubercles present in the upper end of the humerus. One is the lesser tubercle which points anteriorly, and one is the greater tubercle which points laterally and somewhat posteriorly as well. Okay, so coracohumeral ligaments attached to the coracoid process then extends till the greater tubercle of the humerus. Okay, so it helps in the strengthening or giving support to the glenohumeral joint or the shoulder joint. Next one is the transverse humeral ligament. So okay, transverse humeral ligament is present in between the two bicipital groove, okay, which encloses the bicipital groove. That means it is attached to the two tubercles. So it is covering or making that intertubercle circus into a canal through which different structure passes, and that's the tendon of the head of the biceps, which is surrounded by a synovial sheath, passes through it. So this is the muscle tendon of biceps surrounded by synovial sheath which passes in the bicipital groove. So this was all the four ligaments. So let's see in 3D how they are present, and you should have a good orientation of them. This 3D orientation will help you to visualize the different ligaments of the shoulder joint. The highlight portion that you see over there is the fibrous capsule surrounding joint all over. So you can see anteriorly as well as inferiorly that is the joint is surrounded by the joint capsule. The other ligaments are the glenohumeral ligaments. So they are the superior, middle and the inferior glenohumeral ligament. These are the superior, middle and the inferior glenohumeral ligaments situated anteriorly. Here is some external accessory ligaments, that is the acromioclavicular, that aids somewhat in the stabilization of the joint, but the main ligaments directly involved in the stabilization of the joints are the coracoacromial ligament. So this over here, this is the coracoacromial ligament, which along with the coracoid and the acromial process forms the coracoacromial arch. These are the accessory ligaments of the shoulder joint. Now the two more last remaining ligaments are the coracohumeral ligament and the transverse humeral. Transverse humeral is present or arches over the bicipital groove, and it's present between the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle. Lesser tubercle points anteriorly. So these are all the ligaments of the shoulder joint. So if you like the video, please hit the like button and do subscribe to our channel, and we will discussing further about the shoulder joint in the next video. Thanks for watching.